Thank you for joining us on Chambal Fertilisers and Chemicals Q3 and 9-month FY21 earnings call. We have with us today Mr. Anil Kapoor, the Managing Director, Mr. Gaurav Mathur, the Joint Managing Director, Mr. Abhay Baijal, the Chief Officer, Mr. V.K. Gupta, Vice President Marketing, Mr. Rajveer Singh, Vice President Legal and Company Secretary, and Mr. Anuj Jain, Assistant Vice President Finance. Before we get started, I would like to point out that some statements made or discussed on the conference call today may be forward-looking in nature and must be viewed in conjunction with the risks the company faces. Chambal Fertilisers and Chemicals does not undertake to update them. The statement in this regard is available for reference in the presentation. We will begin the call with opening remarks from Mr. Kapoor. I would now like to invite Mr. Kapoor to share his views. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gavin. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on this call. I hope that all of you and your families are safe and healthy. Let me quickly brief you about the performance of the company. We are happy with our operating and financial performance during the period under review. On standalone basis, EBITDA for the quarter increased by 14% to rupees 787.25 crores against rupees 690.11 crores during the corresponding quarter of previous year. Profit before tax, before exceptional item, stands at rupees 663.03 crores as compared to rupees 506.99 crores during the corresponding quarter of the previous year. That is a jump of around 31%. Profit after tax, without considering exceptional items and one-time deferred tax, was rupees 430.09 crores against rupees 329.84 crores during the corresponding quarter of the previous year. During 9 months ended December 31, 2020, on standalone basis, we have achieved total income of rupees 11,171.57 crores against rupees 10,387.24 crores during the corresponding period of previous year. EBITDA before exceptional items for 9 months period was at rupees 2,225.59 crores against rupees 1,835.52 crores during the corresponding 9 months of the previous year. Profit before tax, before exceptional item, stood at rupees 1,780.81 crores as compared to rupees 1,231.35 crores during the corresponding 9 months of previous year, a jump of around 45%. Profit after tax, without considering exceptional items and one-time deferred tax, was at rupees 1,160.26 crores against rupees 816.54 crores during the corresponding period of previous year. Our performance was backed by increased volume of non-urea fertilizer with better margins and better performance in urea and other agri inputs. The company sold 12.63 lakh metric tons of DAP against 8.73 lakh metric tons sold during the same period last year. MOP sales was 2.66 lakh metric tons against 1.83 lakh metric tons last year during the same period. We have also scaled up sales volume of NPK/NPKs fertilizer and sold 68,000 metric tons of this material against 18,000 metric tons sold during the corresponding period last year. Just hold on. The huge outstanding subsidy was always an area of concern for the fertilizer industry. You must be aware that the Government of India has made additional allocation of rupees 62,638 crores for fertilizer subsidy in the revised estimate in order to clear the backlog. As per our information, around one-third amount has already been disbursed by the Government of India to fertilizer companies. With this additional allocation, the outstanding subsidy as on March 31st, 2021 will be at negligible levels. The fertilizer subsidy allocation in the Union Budget 2021 is also likely to be adequate to meet the fertilizer subsidy outgo during the financial year 2021-22. The outstanding subsidy of the company as on December 31st, 2020 was rupees 5,825 crores. Out of this, the company has received rupees 3,165 crores in January 2021. We expect the balance amount to be released before end March 2021. The release of subsidy will substantially reduce the short-term debt of the company, which will result in saving of finance costs and substantial improvement in the financial ratios of the company. We are encouraged by our performance. We have a very strong quality product portfolio and our connect with the farmer is very good. We have also an expansive distribution reach, presence in well-integrated markets and a lean balance sheet which will give us confidence going forward. I, along with Gaurav, will be happy to take your questions on the financial performance of the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Baidik Sarkar from Unify Capital. Please go ahead. Mr. Baidik Sarkar, you may go ahead with the question.
Yes. I said good morning, Mr. Kapoor, and congrats on a strong set of numbers. The incremental subsidy. My question is, the incremental subsidy release this quarter is industry pivot movement for all of us, and we should exit this fiscal with a significantly leaner balance sheet. But question, starting April, does the subsidy account begin to expand again? Perhaps in a measured way, but expansionary for sure. And what is the quantum of monthly release with pencil in given the budgetary allocation as we have today? What do you make of it?
See, what we understand that our opening balance of subsidy outstanding on April 1st, 2021 will be at absolutely negligible level. Now, subsidy release will depend on our sales from point of sale machines. And I think the way government will move forward is we will revert back to the original design of POS, where when we raise the bills on a weekly basis, the government will start clearing the bills as and when they are due. So I don't foresee a backlog taking place definitely in the urea sector. The subsidy provision is very much adequate for the urea sector. We will need to wait and see how what happens in the non-urea segment.
Sure.
How the price movements take place and what is the subsidy provision which the government makes.
In the same breath, are you surprised at the lack of noise around DBT? One would have assumed that this release was a precursor to DBT coming in. Your thoughts around that?
I am not privy to what the government is up to, but we are very happy at the turn of events which has taken place by this. For a company of size of Chambal to be literally approximately debt-free on working capital on 1st April will be a tremendous boost for the company. And you can all calculate the ratios at which we will be. We will have only long-term capital debt in our books and with very little working capital borrowing. Our performance ratios will be very good. Very, very, very happy to be at that state. What has happened on DBT, on a public forum, I will not be able to react on that. What is my feeling? Because, you can't go by what I feel.
Sure. So for the year ahead, there's nothing much to be done on urea. So how do we read your growth plans for the complex and agri inputs business? Some numbers will help, and we'd also like to hear Mr. Mathu's views on driving earnings in the coming fiscal.
I will request Gaurav to make a statement on what are the plans which Chambal has moving forward. So it will be for all the participants, this is a very forward-looking statement which Gaurav will make. So please bear with us. Gaurav, would you like to talk on what the plans of Chambal would be going forward?
Yeah, thanks, Anil. So thanks for the question, Baidik. Let me start by, first of all, saying that now Chambal is a very big player in the phosphatic sector. And we are actively looking for backward integration. As some of you may know, we are already present in Morocco with a joint venture, and we are exploring investing in a phosphatic capacity in Morocco with the objective of further improving our sourcing in this area. The second point I'd like to mention is that we have initiated the process of geographic expansion and have plans in place to start operations in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and West Bengal. We have already opened offices and started placing our sales team. We are already operational in Maharashtra and Gujarat and expect to be operational in other states within March this year. So well positioned to participate next year. As was mentioned, we continue our focus on our non-urea product segment, both in the fertilizer and agri products area. We are reasonably strong players in the agri products area and will target to focus and grow further in this segment. Our existing geography is also seeing growth in the phosphatic and non-urea sector. We've seen of the order of 5 to 7% growth over the past few years, and we will continue to drive for a better share of that growth. As you know from the recent budget announcements, etc., the government of India is looking at this investment, and we believe that opportunities may arise in that sphere. And as Anil has mentioned, with a strong balance sheet that Chambal has, we will be well positioned to participate in that. Of course, we will continue to drive operational efficiencies across the entire organization and our manufacturing facility. And last but not the least, we continue to see how we can add more value to our farmers through soil health, advice on usage, and whatever else they may need through our advisory services. So that, in a nutshell, is our plan going forward.
That's helpful. If I can just squeeze in one more question. Our spreads in the complex fertilizer business seems to have come off rather sharply. Could you give us a range of, what our gross profit per ton in Q3 has been vis-a-vis H1, And importantly, how should we see this development over the next few quarters? Will the pressure continue? I ask that question because obviously this kharif acreage, which means a lot of importers are even looking at the same space that you are. So is there a risk of earnings contraction in the year ahead? I understand volumes might go up sharply, but if spreads come off, how are we looking at it?
Baidik, as you are aware, the asset prices have also gone up. So when the asset prices go up, we definitely make more money in our Moroccan venture. So in the past also, we have received much higher dividend than what we have received in the recent past. That is one. Two, the DAP prices will definitely go up. We can see that happening in the marketplace. The MRP will go up. The MRP was 28,000 earlier. We gradually came down to 24,000 as the DAP prices fell. This is nothing new. This is commodity. This will happen. Prices will go up. Prices will come down. It happens in every segment of commodity business. We will make sure that our margins are protected. Yeah, there may be some swings in margin here and there, but that is part of the business. We have got out of our approximate 2,400 crore EBITDA business, our 17 to 1,800 crores is non-phosphatic business where the returns are literally assured.
Those it is in urea.
And that's in the urea business. So non-phosphatic business, the returns are literally assured. And as Gaurav has mentioned rightly, our focus will be on non-fertilizer business also, which will drive profits for us. Be it pesticide sales, be it we have number of products which are non-fertilizer which we sell in the marketplace. We are a very large player in sales of ammonia. I don't know how many of you are aware that ammonia prices have gone up in the international market. We will definitely focus on that also now. So Chambal has number of avenues in which we can grow our profits and recover our margins. We may lose in one segment, we will recover in three others. We are large players in every segment of the market which we work in.
Yeah, that's helpful. The expansion into Maharashtra, Gujarat, AP and West Bengal is very good to know. So given the acreage expansion that's staring at us in the fiscal, is it conservative to assume a 20% kind of volume growth in the year ahead?
We have just entered that market. Okay. So those are difficult markets and they are not easy. There are big established players in that market. To break and take market share from others in that market, is not going to be easy. But we have a very strong network and Gujarat and Maharashtra are adjacent states to us. Okay. So we will also take our urea into those states, establish our brand through urea. We have a very strong dealer network in our segment, which we expect to grow in this segment. We used to be in Gujarat way back and then we moved out of Gujarat. We are re-entering Gujarat. So we know the dealer network fairly well there. I hope I've answered your question, by the way.
Expenditure of YOY as well as sequentially. So we have to understand what's helping us in this runoff and is this sustainable?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
So my question was, there's a sharp rundown in our other expenditure this quarter, both on a sequential basis as well as a YOY basis. What's driving these runoff and other expenditure? And given the environment coming back, should we expect these costs coming back in the fiscal ahead? And also, we'd like to understand what has led to this runoff and costs and other expenditure.
Yeah, Baidik, can I answer that, Mr. Kapoor?
No, just say, before that, our interest costs will substantially reduce going forward. With the government releasing subsidy, our interest costs will be literally only on the long-term capital and a little bit on the working capital for next year. So we have a substantial tailwind as far as interest cost is concerned, reduction in interest cost is concerned. Now, Abhay, what is this cost which Vaidik is talking about?
That's what I say. See, in other expenses, power and fuel are included, which is part of our direct margin. See, that direct fuel cost and material cost. So there is a little bit of confusion on how other expenses are treated. So what you have seen in reduction is basically the impact of the reduction in gas price. So they go on up and down, and that is part of the urea business where this is a pass-through cost. Now, apart from that, the other costs that are included in that, they include freight and forwarding expenses, packaging expenses, insurance, and other, other stuff like, insurance, as I said, repairs and maintenance, and also some element of foreign exchange and movements, which can be plus or minus depending on how the things are. So what has happened in this sequentially as well as from last quarter is there is a substantial reduction in power and fuel costs and some offset by some extent of increase in terms of freight and packaging costs because our volumes in DAP, MPK, MOP, etc. went up. So these are, variable to that extent that there is a power and fuel element in that. But if you strip that out, apart from that, they are fairly steady. And they will remain steady related to the volume of business that is being done. That's how I would like to answer that. If you get me what I'm saying.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, we'd like to request participants that in order that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we request you to rejoin the queue. We take the next question from the line of Pratik Tolia from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And so congratulations on a very good set of numbers. So firstly, firstly on the subsidy side, till last quarter, we were giving the subsidy sheet, a table in the presentation, which would give us the subsidy outstanding and the subsidy receipt during the quarter. That sheet is not there in this presentation, so it would be very helpful if we continue to maintain that. And in the meantime, if Abhay sir can just help us with what is the subsidy receipt during Q3. And outstanding, I think you said it is 5,800 crores.
I will tell Abhay to give it, but as on March 31st, 2021, there will be hardly any subsidy outstanding.
I know, sir. I know.
Statement. With that, one should not be bothered about subsidy outstanding of Chambal Fertilisers.
I totally agree, sir. I totally agree. That's, I think, a big positive from the government side. But just to understand how the movement has been during the quarter.
Yeah, I will to post it on our site.
Sure.
Can you explain what happened during the quarter? Anuj, are you there, please?
Yeah, I'm there.
Please say what was the subsidy received in December quarter?
We will include, Mr. Vedal, next time we will include it.
We will include it, Abhay. We will include it in our numbers. And anyway, what I'll request is you please post it in your site. We can post it after the meeting today.
Yeah, sure, sir.
It will not be possible. We are not going to share another presentation, Mr. Kapoor, but future we can include. You have number?
We can give the breakup of subsidy outstanding and whatever we have received in January. That much breakup we can give right now.
No, he is asking for last quarter. Last quarter.
Yeah, I have already mentioned 5,100. 5,825 crores was outstanding subsidy. As of
yes, I got it.
December.
That is there in the presentation also.
Sure, sir. I'll maybe take it offline. So secondly, on the EBITDA margin, there has been a steady improvement this quarter. We understand that the urea volumes are flat and even the margins we know it's fixed. So obviously it is driven by the non-urea segment. So if you could just help us understand, how are these margins? How should we look at it going forward from here on? Considering that the prices, like you also mentioned, is going up. So from our operational wise, you did mention that IMACID you will make some more money, but on the operational perspective, how should one look at the traded margins going forward?
Very difficult to tell, Prateek, what is going to happen going forward. How is the price increase will be, but how is the price increase be taken in the market? But what I can share with the participants is that we have got some amount of DAP, MOP, NPK, NPKS with us at lower cost. So which will be used to average it and improve the margin in the first quarter at least. By then things will stabilize.
Okay. Sure.
Subsidy received in the last quarter is 1,085 crore.
Sorry to interrupt, but we can't really hear you very clearly.
So is it 1,085 crores?
That will be Anuj.
We will post it or take them offline and tell them.
Yes, sir, that will be better. So then lastly, you mentioned about, capex in the phosphatic segment, especially you are looking at something in Morocco. So any amount that you all have frozen, and what sort of timeline should we look at it in terms of, by when, because we already have the raw material supply with us. So forward integration is what we will be looking at over there. So what sort of timelines are we working at?
We will look at both forward integration and a greenfield site. There's a committee which has been appointed, which is looking at all these options. And I think in the next few months, we should finalize our plans of investment. As soon as the plans are finalized, we will come back to the stock market and keep them informed.
So, but IMACID is a JV, right? We have two other partners with us. So it will be the new plants will also be on JV basis, or it will be only for the pure investment from Chambal side?
We have not decided on that, whether it will be on IMACID or it could be a separate joint venture between Chambal and OCP.
Thank you.
So we have not finalized that plan yet. But investment will definitely take place going forward. Hello?
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to participants to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. The next question is from Deepak Chitrodia from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and congratulations on good set of numbers, sir. So my first question is about the capex which you talk about, backward integration. So if my understanding is correct, so are we going to replace our existing import arrangement which we do from the open market, and basically ultimately will have a lower import cost, and basically indirectly this will improve our trading margin substantially?
Deepak, as soon as our plans are finalized, we will come back to the stock market. Right now, these are all evolving stage at this moment. And for us to share anything which is not finalized yet is not fair.
Okay.
Right now, we are working the modality.
No problem. Sure. So, sir, the second question is about what would be our long-term sustainable working capital requirement. I understand obviously the one-time payment of the extra allocation which we have got, that is going to wipe off our working capital requirement by March. But going forward, I am saying because we will have at least 4 or 5 months kind of a lean period or off-season demand, right? So during that time we are not going to have a pause sales basically. So definitely we'll need to have some sort of working capital. So how do you think about that?
Abhay, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, Deepak, I'll put it this way. The operating cycle for urea for at least 9 months from April to December is just about 60 to 70 days. As far as DAP is concerned and MOP is concerned, we are a little longer, 120, 130 days. They stretch a little bit by 30 odd days between April and between, let's say, February and April and May. But then it comes back to normal. So it is only a 2-month or 3-month situation between, and it crosses the balance sheet date. That's why it looks a little. So looking at what I'm saying, in a normalized situation, 70 to 80 days in urea, what is going to happen is that with the cash generation of the company by October, November this year, since the amount of subsidy given is adequate for urea, I don't foresee any amount that will be required for borrowing to keep the working capital sustained. That is one. As far as the DAP and MOP is concerned, there will be some small borrowings that may be necessary, or that may be strategic, that you take some kind of credit or something like that. But I would not expect that there will be a large amount of it, certainly around 700-800 crores, if not more, but not more than that, nothing more than that.
And also, Deepak, Chambal generates approximately 1,400 to 1,500 cash, which till we go for a major expansion is plowed into the business.
So if the capex happens post 22, then at least by October, November, we will have generated that kind of cash, or 50% of that, even after paying the loan installment in September. So that's why I'm saying it's not more than 600-700 crores. Stretching up to October, November. So that is the kind of level we can think in terms of borrowing side. Of course, on the asset side, it will always be there. Hello?
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chedda from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir, wanted to know what will be your year-end debt and what should be the next year's interest cost, assuming that the next year the payouts by the government are a fairly normal payouts cycle which they follow?
Abhay, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, see, our one installment of repayment of loan will happen. So we are expecting around 3,800, 3,900 crores of long term, which will be there in the books. I am not anticipating very much in terms of short-term borrowing, as Mr. Kapoor has been emphasizing, with the receipt of almost 5,800 crores, which we have planned by the end of the quarter. I don't think there would be anything. If anything, it would be about 100-200 crores max. So we are looking at 4,000 crore kind of indebtedness by the end of total indebtedness by the end of the year. And going forward, as you can see, you can make the calculation. We were at 9,000 crores.
आप जिस व्यक्ति से बात कर रहे हैं, उसने आपकी कॉल को होल्ड पर रखा.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you may go ahead.
Yeah, so we have started with 9,000 crores and we will end up with something like 3,900 crores. Differential, you can see what kind of difference will happen in the borrowing, in the rate of interest or the interest reduction. On an average, I don't want to put it, but you are all intelligent people, you can calculate. Hello. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you, sir.
So did you get what I said?
Yeah, I heard the answer. The interest cost for us should be about 8.5% now?
No, I'll just share with you. We have our cost of capital is now will be only long term, where we have borrowed on ECB. And the rates are very competitive. We never borrowed 8% ever in our life.
Okay.
Earlier also we were borrowing at between 3 to 4%.
Okay. And sir, my second question is, you were answering to one of the participant on the profitability part next year, where we have certain costs on the manufacturing which will go up. So sum total, you believe that you will still be able to show the profitability growth via the volume growth in the non-urea side? And my other question was, when you were referring to urea as fixed, that fixed is basically between 12 and 20% ROE is a formula. So considering that formula also, we think that the profitability for us, which is the EBITDA profitability for us, should be growing next year.
Too early to tell how the non-urea business evolves next year.
No,
I'm
asking some, sir. Actually, I was asking some total at the company level.
At the company level, see, interest at PAT level, the interest cost is coming down.
No, at EBITDA level, sir.
At EBITDA level, in urea business, EBITDA is more or less fixed. There will be some improvement in energy. So to that extent, there will be an increase in EBITDA. The EBITDA growth in Chambal will take place, as Gaurav has rightly mentioned, through expansion in geographical areas and expansion in non-urea business.
Okay. So directionally, sum total, the EBITDA will grow next year, function of better profitability in urea plus volume growth in the non-urea side.
I have not mentioned directionally. See, this is a commodity business. We will have to see how the rainfall is. Whether it's a El Nino year, La Nina year, there are a number of factors which play in agriculture sector. So for us to be on a definitive statement that this will grow by this much, in agriculture is very difficult to forecast.
Thank you. The next question is from Amar Maurya from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, Amar.
Sir, basically, sir, my major question, sir, you had indicated that you already received 3,000 crore of subsidy in January, right?
That's right. 3,165 crores is what the number I mentioned.
Okay, and total you will receive 5,800 crore by the end of March.
See, what I mentioned was approximately 5,800 crores is the outstanding subsidy on 31st December 2021.
Correct.
I made two statements, Amar.
Okay.
One is that substantial portion of this 5,800, approximately the entire portion, barring some very small amount of bill to here and there, but the entire amount will be received by 31st March. And also I made a statement that subsidy amount, there will be very negligible subsidy outstanding of the entire industry as on 31st March.
Got that. Thanks a lot, sir.
I hope it's clear.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhaval Shah from Girik Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations to the team.
Yeah, Dhaval.
Yeah, hi sir. Sir, my question is for Mr. Mathur.
Sure.
Yeah. Sir, given your background from AkzoNobel and an API company just previous to this, to joining here, now we are joining a company in the fertilizer business where a lot of things have changed and things are very good. So what sort of newness or valuation will you get to the already set platform in terms of your B2C experience at Akzo and Chambal being a very strong brand with a very high market share. So as from a strategic perspective, where do we see this company, say 3 to 4 years down the line? So one, you mentioned you converting company into more of a chemical, getting into phosphoric acid expansion, as you mentioned, which is another planning stage. But how do we see this company?
Thanks. But just to clarify, when I mentioned about phosphatic, it wasn't about getting into the chemical business of phosphatic acid necessarily, but it was more about having a source of diammonium phosphate, right? Okay. So that's what we are looking at. In terms of what we see 3-4 years ago, I think what we see overall that is happening in the industry plus the growth that we see in the market as well as the disinvestment plans that the government has and the growth plans that I mentioned early on. So we really look to harness all of those together. We are in a position where if I look at it, Chambal has significant strength, first of all, starting with people. We have an experienced team, which I would say was one of the best in the industry. We have strong, well-entrenched brand, the Uttam brand that we have, a good product portfolio. Our distribution has scale and a very strong dealer base. We have strong market discipline. Financials has been mentioned a few times, scale of operation and cost leadership. There are a number of strengths.
Yes.
And we are now one of the biggest companies in the private sector in the fertilizer industry. So the play really is to leverage all of that and along the lines that I mentioned earlier, essentially.
True. Correct, sir. Yeah. And so my second question would be in terms of our allocation of capital, which is now 4,000 is the peak debt. So should I assume 4,000 crore is the peak debt for Chambal, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, considering our all capex plans or working capital plans? How should we look at this?
I think that's a question which is rather difficult to answer because it will depend on a number of other factors. But like Anil has repeatedly mentioned, based on the government policy on the subsidy and what we've seen actually happening, we would expect that our working capital would be funding would not be required. And thereafter, the peak debt depends really on the kind of investment that we make and the opportunities that we see. So to put a number on that, I would say is a little bit premature.
But given our cash flow size, our capex should be within that. I mean, like whatever capex we do, we for sure not putting up another Gadepan 3 kind of large asset. So the kind of cash flows we generate should be very much enough for any sort of capex you plan. Should we understand it that way?
Bhaval, we will be generating approximately 1,400 to 1,500 cash profit per year. Okay. So in next 3 years, we'll be generating approximately 4,000 crores of cash. While there may not be an opportunity like Gadepan 3 again, but were it to come, Chambal is well prepared to take that because with 4,000 crores cash coming in, our armory is full. We can make a substantial investment.
Yeah. That's what my assumption was, that the debt should not go up like the peak debt number.
No. Debt will. I do not think the government now intends to increase the subsidy. The way they have been very transparent in the budget and what they have done with FCI and fertilizer is remarkable.
Yes. That's a structural change, correct.
That's a structural change, and I don't think so government would like to go back to the old status.
True. Yes, sir. Great, sir. Thank you very much and good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
you. The next question is from the line of Amit Doshi from Care PMS. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, with reference to this non-urea business growth, would it, on one of your slides, mentions about market share in various states that we have. So urea ranging from 10% to 20% market share we have, except Rajasthan where we have 30%. Now, would it be fair to assume that non-urea business, it will be easy for us to capture the market share that we have for urea? For example, if we have 20% in Madhya Pradesh, then to achieve non-urea 20% market share would be fair, and then probably getting over that would be a challenging task. Can you basically, I'm just trying to judge the growth potential of market share in the non-urea business.
See, I think you have answered the question yourself, and I agree with your conclusion.
Okay, so in that case, I think majority of the places where DAP, MOP, we have kind of reached that kind of market share. Then, so how confident?
There are certain opportunities which will be there in which we have not explored. As Gaurav had mentioned, there is a 5 to 7% growth taking place in phosphatic fertilizer. So that definitely we will capture. We will definitely like to capture a little bit more than that when of the business by taking some share from, trying to take some share from some other people.
Okay.
And geographical expansion is taking place. So that will open some avenues for us.
Okay. So on the urea front, like geographical expansion is one thing, but on the production side, of course, we are operating at the optimal capacity. So then how do we plan to achieve that additional geographical expansion?
Some of the areas where we want to expand, we don't not necessarily will go through urea route. We just expand on the phosphatic and non-fertilizer route.
Okay. And I saw...
And as far as fertilizer plant is concerned, we are working out on schemes at this moment, and some of them are being implemented, which is on energy saving schemes in the existing plant, which will improve the energy efficiency of the plant and thereby improve the profitability. So some of the schemes have been approved, and some of the schemes we are working on right now.
Okay. No, but that would improve the profitability. I was more on the production because we are operating at almost full capacity.
Production we are working out. We are running right now approximately at full capacity.
Hello?
Yeah. Production we are working at full capacity. Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We take the next question from the line of Viraj from Securities Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks
for
the
Viraj.
opportunity and congratulations for a good set of numbers.
Thank you.
Had a couple of questions, more strategic in nature. So if we look at our own history in the past, whenever we had a good balance sheet position, we were kind of into other non-agri ventures as well. And we kind of, corrected and exited those and seen an improvement in our return profile as well. Now, going forward, if we were to understand Chambal Fertilizers, would it be purely a play on agri, related ventures in the future as well? Is that how one should look at the entity in, going forward? That's one. Second, just to add to that, post this government, one-time clearance of past subsidies dues, as you said, our overall balance sheet position will be in a significantly better position. So with urea already, we already have 3 plants up and running and at full capacity. Incrementally, how should we understand use of that cash? Would it be largely in non-urea business only, or we will still be open to bid for any of those divestment opportunities of urea, plants of government? So that is the second. Thank you.
Can I answer that question, Anil?
Sure.
So Viral, thanks. So 2 questions you've asked. So on the first one, yes, you're right. We've learned from some of the things that we have tried in the past, and that's always part of business, that you do things and you learn from them. So our focus going forward is mainly on the agro sector. At the same time, if some significant opportunity emerges and it makes the right sense, at this point in time, I don't think we can absolutely rule it out. But our focus will continue to be on the agri sector. In terms of your second question, the investments, I think I did mention it that A, we are looking at an investment in phosphatic capacity in Morocco. And B, with the disinvestment that we expect that Government of India will do, we have the wherewithal, therefore, to participate in that, and we have a strong balance sheet for that.
Okay, if
I would like to just mention to all the audiences that the investment which we are planning in Morocco is not even on the drawing board. It is on a discussion stage right now. And as and when anything materializes, we will come back and keep you people informed. So, it's just on a discussion stage at this moment.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhav Mada from FIL. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. And I think the execution of the company in the last 3 years, 4 years that I've been tracking it, it's been absolutely rock solid. So congratulations on that as well. I think I just wanted to understand a bit in the disinvestment side. Basically, what would that mean? Like, would we buy like a sort of inefficient fertilizer business like a urea or non-urea one and try to turn it around? Is that what we mean by disinvestment?
See, as you are aware, there are few public sector undertakings at this moment, and government has announced that they will be divesting some of the non-core sector businesses. And if and when that were to take place, what Gaurav has mentioned is the Chambal will participate in that disinvestment and would like to take over one of them if we can get it.
But what would these assets be? Basically, like other urea companies, other fertilizer companies, or
I cannot mention anything at this moment till the government has finalized its plan.
Okay. And this the second question was which one of the earlier people had asked as well. I just wanted to understand that, like you mentioned, we'll be generating 4,000 to 4,500 crores of cash, say, in the next 3 years. Will our capex over the next 3 years be sort of within that 4,500 crore, or can we look to do a bit more in case the opportunity arises? Is there any thought process on that?
At this moment, we have not decided on any major capex. So it all depends on the project profile.
Okay.
If it's a very, very interesting project, then we can always borrow a little bit. But our debt equity now henceforth will be quite low going forward.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Understood. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akela from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a couple from my side. First was a slightly longer term question with regard to the Gadepan 3 kind of regulatory framework that we are under. I believe we are under the new investment policy for the next 6 or 7 years.
8 years.
So 8 years, but from I guess 1 or 2 years are already gone by. Is that right?
Yes. So going forward 6 years.
Yeah. 6 years. So at the end of that, what I understand is right now it's probably generating much better margins than Gadepan 1 and 2. But at the end of these 6 years, how should we think about the margin profile from there? Should it normalize to what the older 2 units are making?
For 6 years is a long period. For anybody to conjecture what would happen in the urea segment, whether the government comes up with a sort of an NBS in urea, it's a very difficult call. After all, government got in an NBS in phosphatics. So our fervent hope would be that government comes in sort of an NBS in urea segment. I would like to mention to you that we are today operating the site at a site energy which is very, very low. Okay. With Gadepan 3 operating today at one of the lowest energy consumption in the world. It's a very efficient plant. So as a result of which our site energy itself is very low. So we would love to have a sort of a NBS coming in fertilizer sector in the next 4 to 5 years. That will really open Chambal Fertilizer. We can face any competition in the world.
Got it. Understood, sir.
Rajveer, I'm sure there's a presentation of Chambal Fertilizer which we have posted on our site. All the participants should have a look at that video and have a look at what chemical plant Chambal is operating today. It's a world-class facility. And post-COVID, Abhay, I'll request that you should take a team and let all your investors give them a walkthrough in the plant.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as things open up on travel and people are comfortable enough to travel, we can arrange for 20-25 people.
Really it's a site which we are very proud of. And I would say Chambal facility is a world-class facility. We are second to none.
Understood, sir. No, that's really helpful. The second thing I just had was on IMACID. What I gather is that there's probably been the loss of one significant customer for IMACID in India. And because of that, the volumes perhaps are, or the margins actually have come under some pressure. So, now that phosphoric acid prices are going up, how do you, do you see IMACID being able to offset those volumes, recover those from other customers, or is there a risk that we might actually miss this upcycle in the phosphoric acid business?
Alternatively, IMACID can always go in for a tolling arrangement and make DAP. And there's a huge demand of DAP coming globally. So I don't foresee margins of IMACID coming down substantially. Yes, some amount of disturbance can take place, but I don't see any major changes.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Anil sir, hi, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Rohan, how are you?
I'm good, sir. Hope everyone is fine also, sir, at your side.
Thank you.
Sir, some accounting question or some mathematical questions, sir, from my side. Sir, we have a Gadepan 1 and 2 where we are still under the old regulatory regime, where probably our profitability per ton or EBITDA per ton are restricted at close to maybe 3,000 rupees per ton, even if we take the additional benefit which the government has recently given us.
3 to 4,000.
3 to 4, 5 times, sir.
3 to 4,000. 3
to 4. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So with that, we have roughly 3,000 rupees per ton EBITDA in our Gadepan 1 and 2. And at Gadepan 3, I understand rightly, sir, we are working probably at 8,500 rupees per ton, with higher energy efficiency benefit. Probably we maybe we're running at 500 to 700 rupees per ton higher. So with both of these things, if I work it on the numbers, that gives me an EBITDA of for 9 months of roughly 1,350 to 1,400 crores. So that leaves me with almost 800 crore kind of EBITDA from the non-fertilizer, non-urea. I understand that's primarily coming from maybe DAP and a little bit of value-added product. But still, sir, if I look at our non-urea volume, we have done roughly 14 lakh or 13 lakh ton total.
Rohan, your that leads very complicated. My suggestion to you would be, why don't you send us an email and let us prepare your answer properly. तुम्हारा तो बड़ा loaded, तुम्हारा question calculate करने के लिए मुझे तो बहुत time लग जाएगा.
Sir, my only thing that, sir, I'll just make it simplified.
Conclusion. So I will answer the conclusion.
Right. So if you, sir, I know that you have stopped giving the breakup. I just want that what is the contribution from non-urea in our EBITDA? If you can give some ballpark number on that.
Right now on public platform, my competition will kill me. If I disclose my margin, which I'm making, my entire cost allocation strategy, my entire costing strategy will go for a toss. So please don't ask me questions which I cannot share on public platform.
Okay, sir. Then probably, sir, I will take another help and another question around this.
You people are intelligent enough. You people can do the calculation. हमारे competition से पूछ के हमारा calculation.
Sir, we may be intelligent enough, but sir, somehow math doesn't work if we are making more than 5,000 rupees EBITDA per ton or our DAP.
Rohan, I cannot be making profit from air. Profit is coming from business. Okay, so it is either coming from urea, it is coming from phosphatic, it is coming from non-fertilizer. There are only 3 segments we operate.
Fine. So second question on your capital, capex plan. Sir, whenever, and you have now definitely going to generate strong cash flow. So will you look at any minimum? Will you look at any minimum?
Hello. Let me tell you about the capex plan. See, अभी तो इतना 6,000 crore का project किया है, okay, and we have created such a lovely company. We have already generated profit after tax of 1,180 crores. Boss, to all my participants who are there, you people have not even rewarded me for the investment which I have made. Government has cleared by subsidy. It's a short-term debt-free company, literally a debt-free company. And you people first, I will ask you a counter question. You people also reward the Chambal Fertilisers.
Sir, you must see the stock price. It has been rewarded very well, sir. With the
running at a price to earning of 7 to 8.
Sir, I am sure that if you show us the growth plan of the company in next 3 years.
There are so many companies which are operating at 60, 80, 100. I sometimes envy them, and I keep asking, यार मेरे को कभी 50 का multiple कैसे मिलेगा?
Sir, I will say that if you show us the visibility that your company will grow at 25% compounding for next 4 years, I am sure you are also going to triple your multiple from here.
I like to just share with you, Rohan. I took over this company in 2007. We used to have a PAT of 150 crores. Today, we are having a PAT of approximately 1,200 crores. We have grown 8 times. So you calculate what is the CAGR of that? You are a good mathematician, no? So 8 times ka in 12 years, what is the CAGR?
Sir, at that time, the stock price used to be 40-45 rupees. Now it's 250 rupees. So you can also see that there has been significant.
8 times, Rohan, we have grown. And have patience. We will grow. We are businessmen. We are not going to let the money remain idle, but we will make sure that we will not make investment in businesses which we don't understand. That's a commitment which I would like to make to everybody. In the past, we made some investment in businesses which we did not understand. So we are committed now to make only businesses where we know what's happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Tarang from Old Bridge Capital. Please go ahead.
Tarang, where were you? You're coming so late.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. No, sir, I was all here. There were just so many questions, right?
You must have heard all the answers. Now there must be hardly any question.
Yes, sir. So most of my questions are answered. I would just like to, make a statement. When 5 years back you beckoned on this journey to put up Gadepan 3 at, 3.
You were my earlier investor, so you are sitting very pretty.
No, sir, that being said, sir, there were just so many uncertainties, right? We didn't know whether the plant would commission on time. If the plant would commission on time, we were not sure whether the markets would be there. If the markets were there, we were not sure whether our principal debtor would commit its, honor its commitment. Okay, and once all of that happened, I mean, the execution, it's been recognized, has been. It's been really nice in the last 2 years. And the working capital intensity, which was very high, the subsidy couldn't have come in at a better time because almost 40% of your capital employed was at a negative carry, which gets released now. Okay, so congratulations and really happy to see Chambal come such a long way. That being said, sir, when we look at the plans that you have and the kind of muscle that you have with your balance sheet, historically we've seen that Phosphatic is not as capital intensive a business as urea is, and non-fertilizers is even lesser in terms of capital intensity. So that being said, while I understand and you've enumerated your plans multiple times in this call, do we therefore envisage a significant or a decent amount of outflow coming in to the shareholders in the near future?
Tarang, we have already announced a sort of a dividend policy.
Okay.
And that we will be honoring that. So we will have a sort of a consistent dividend which we will pay to all our shareholders. Barring which, time will tell. As Gaurav has mentioned, let's see what the disinvestment plan is, and where phosphatic play, NPK play, MOP, non-urea business. It's a huge business in India, and Chambal would like to grow in that business, go in for new geographies, expand in those geographies. There is plenty of opportunity for Chambal Fertilizer. People will be very happy 2 to 3 years from now when you see how we have progressed. Give us some time. We will grow. That is a commitment to the participants here.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Nikhil Runta from Nippon India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Thanks for this opportunity and congratulations on a great set of numbers. 2 questions from my side. First is, I won't be asking any number on the debt side or the CapEx side. I just want to know at till what level the management would be comfortable increasing its debt to equity.
We have not even discussed that internally, to be honest with you.
Okay. And so second...
That's a question I can't answer at this moment.
Sure. Second is, say 3 years down the line, where do you see share of urea, non-urea fertilizers and non-fertilizers in the total EBITDA?
3 years from now, I'm quite sure Gaurav would like to answer that question.
So, Nikhil, we are initiating our expansion plan, and I think it's very early stages. So I think perhaps we'll be in a better position to answer this question 1 year from now, where we get a better sense of the new geographies, etc., that we're getting into.
Okay, but can we say the share of urea would be on a declining trend only?
As we grow in the non-urea segment, then it's a natural conclusion that if the urea segment is by and large based on our capacity, then as we grow in the non-urea segment, then the shift would take place.
Sure, sir. Thank you and all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mish Kanani from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
A lot of questions have been answered, and I know a lot
yes,
of things you may not be able to share. So I'll just try my luck. Can you, sir, share what will you not do, or how big the acquisition you will not do, which will impact our financials, in the sense that a lot of participants have got that comfort that we have come down from our debt equity ratio from 2:1 to 1:1 now. So and
lower than 1:1.
Yeah, sir. So the question is, sir, the appetite of the expansion come inorganic opportunity can be very, very huge, sir. And the opportunities also is very huge. So in that context, sir, if you can give us some broad count, or maybe if not now, maybe by end of fourth quarter, what will we not do, which gives us a comfort that we will be focusing on profitable and high ROC growth, sir?
Good question. We will definitely not do something which we don't understand. That is one thing which is very certain. We have made mistakes in the past, and I think there's been a very steep learning for us on that subject. Now, what would be our debt equity? What's the risk profile? As Gaurav has rightly mentioned, I think just give us some time. Let us just accumulate. ये तो पैसा suddenly आ गया इतना सारा.
Yes, sir.
We were also not expecting it, to be honest with you.
Yes, sir.
So,
congratulations to you, sir.
No, congratulations to Government of India.
Yes, sir. Party, yes.
Let us not take credit for the money which has come. The money has come because of Government of India wanted to be very transparent in the budgeting process. Okay, I think you should congratulate the finance minister for that.
Yes, sir.
As far as we are concerned, we will let us assimilate the money which has come. We will come back to you.
Maybe, sir. Yeah. End of the year, fourth quarter call could be a good.
End of the fourth quarter call.
If I just add, I think you used the right phrase. We are not looking for growth for the sake of growth, but we will look for profitable growth.
Okay.
So it has to generate sufficient return on whatever investment we make.
Sure, sir. So congratulations, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The The next question is from the line of Susmit Patodia from Motilal Oswal Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Anil, for delivering the phenomenal performance in the last year of your stay at the firm, and welcome, Mr. Gaurav. My first question is, the risks to business are significantly coming down. Would it make sense to also cover the ECB exposure we have, especially considering the transition that LIBOR is undergoing? Just reduce the risks in the business further?
See, as far as the Forex is concerned, okay, there are two portions of that. One is the LIBOR, which I will let Abhay answer. How is he going to cover the LIBOR aspect? But till Jan of next year, we have already covered the LIBOR. Okay, so we are fixed the LIBOR, and we are protected on that front. As far as the Forex is concerned, the spread is concerned, our Gadepan 3 is a dollarized business, as I had mentioned in the past also. Correct. So we have a natural hedge available. So where the rupee to weaken, our profitability in Gadepan 3 will also improve.
What if rupee strengthens?
If rupee strengthens, then our profitability will reduce.
Yeah. So I mean that is. See, when we started with this business, it was at a lower rupee. Now the rupee has depreciated.
Yeah. What is your feeling, Susmit, because you come from Motilal Oswal, what is your feeling on the rupee going forward? Seriously, in the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, that will give us a direction on how to play this market.
Yeah. They say that when somebody gives an answer, it's not because they know, but because they have been asked. So I don't want to get into that trap. I really don't know.
I'm not giving you a trap. Because
no.
It's a question where the rupee will go.
Discipline that we want to enforce. No, my simple thing is that, with this whole government subsidy risk going away, would it make sense to then reduce the other aspect of the other risk of the business? And frankly, no one knows where rupees. I mean, it can go to 40, it can go to 100. No one knows.
My only question is with the inflation which we have in India, with the global inflation, the delta of that inflation to that extent, the rupee should weaken. Right. If our inflation were to come down to 2 to 3% and the global inflation, then the rupee can, it will change. Otherwise, our exports will become. That's my feeling. I'm not a finance guy. I'm an engineer like Gaurav. Okay, we are hardcore engineers. Mr. Bajal is my finance head, so he coaches us on this subject. Okay.
Yeah.
Our feeling is that gradually the differential in inflation, the rupee should, okay, there may be temporary phase because of certain inflows in FDI, the rupee may harden. But in the long term, the rupee should weaken, unless we get our inflation at 2 to 3%.
Right. And what about the LIBOR risk? A lot of banks.
Abhay, would you like to share about the LIBOR risk?
Yeah, I'll just share. We are in continuous discussion with our bankers. As far as there is another standard, it is called SOFR.
Correct.
At the moment, the documents of Asia Pacific Loan Management Association, they are being transformed to take care of these changes because the benchmark is changing. And we'll have to see how it works. I think somewhere in the second half of the year, before this runs out, and there is also a lot of rumor that LIBOR could be extended by 1 more year. So it's a moment evolving issue. Maybe by June, July, we will know exactly how this will be played. So we will do accordingly. We are in discussions with our bankers. They have a clause which they have asked us to sign on, which we will possibly later on, but not at the moment. It says that the variation in the benchmark should be allowed and so on. So as far as that is concerned, we are covered. As far as how we will play this, whether we will fix on SOFR or we will re-benchmark on SOFR, but we have taken care that we do not have wind-up costs. As Mr. Kapoor said, most of the derivatives on interest that we have taken will run out co-terminus with the finish of the LIBOR, so that we do not have any wind-up cost on the derivatives. That much we will ensure.
Sir, my second question is, as a country, we're still importing urea, and government is showing significant rational thinking towards the sector. Is there a chance that we could go beyond the 100% contracted utilization in G3?
Time will tell. At this moment, the government has not allowed us to sell beyond 100%. We are in continuous discussion with government to allow us to sell beyond 100%.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Mahawar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Manish.
Yeah, hi, sir. Sir, in terms of Morocco, basically we are planning to maybe in a discussion stage to set up a plant or so. I just wanted to know what is the optimal greenfield capacity generally in globally in terms of a phosphatic side, and what will be the basically capex requirement for a fully integrated plant?
The optimal capacity normally where the globally the people who put up plants are is approximately 400 to 50,000 tons of phosphoric acid per annum, and which translates to 1 million ton of DAP granulation. And approximate cost, it is very, very approximate right now.
Yes.
It would be to the tune of between 400 to 500 million dollars.
Okay, understood. Okay, right. And second, in this part, most of the historically we have seen in the industry in India, right? I've not seen like any company is setting up a plant outside India for at least for a forward integration, right? Most of the company has a strategic investment in terms of a raw material sourcing. So, what is our thought process in terms of setting up a plant outside India?
For what?
This forward integration basically is in terms of a DAP. Generally, most of the company or industry has a tie-ups in terms of raw material sourcing in India, right? And we are planning to set up a DAP plant, at least I would say phosphatic plant, granulation plant.
Our logic is this way. I'm an engineer, so Manish, I'll give you a little bit from a technical viewpoint. 1 ton of phosphoric acid requires approximately 3.5 tons of rock. And Morocco has the largest reserve of rock in the world. The quality of rock is very good, and it is ideally suited to produce phosphoric acid. In India, in fact, the majority of the rock which comes is from Morocco. Now, it would be there have been capacities which have been put up in India with import of phosphoric acid. If you look at the freight component, we bring in the freight of phosphoric acid to India is approximately $85 per ton. And freight of DAP to India from Morocco is approximately $25 to $30 a ton. But freight-wise also, it makes a lot of sense to import the finished product than to bring the raw material. It also makes ample sense to bring the finished product than to bring the 3.5 tons of rock, produce that phosphoric acid in India, put up a granulation capacity in India. So it makes ample sense where I get DAP from. And as we become global, today most of our DAP players in India, they import phosphoric acid, they import rock, they import ammonia. So they are only building a value addition to that small extent. What we are saying is we will do that value addition in Morocco, bring the finished product and sell it in India. You tell me from a global perspective, which is a better model?
Yeah, that's basically right on what you're saying. But why the industry?
Let me be honest with you, Manish, it's a no-brainer. And with that thinking in mind, Chambal put up a plant in Morocco in 1999.
Right. Okay. And sir, second question in terms of non-urea business, non-urea fertilizer business, definitely we have opened our office and this dealership in the other states where we don't have a presence earlier. And what type of, if I ask maybe Mr. Mathur or you maybe possibly,
let Gaurav answer that question.
Basically, what could be a market share on a pan-India basis we are looking out maybe next 3 years down the line, maybe 5 years down the line for this non-urea business?
Manish, you just entered the market. So I think, Anil also mentioned in the comment earlier that these are difficult markets and you're just making an entry. So I think it's a bit premature. I think in answer to another question similar to this, I think we'll be in a better position to give you an answer on that maybe in 6 months or years time from now. So I think we need to first really understand the market and see the dynamics over there. There are strong players over there, very, very strong players. So it's a little early for me to make a mention of a market share.
Okay, sure, sir. Thanks and all the best for the future, sir.
Thank you, Manish.
Thank you, Manish.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Viraj from Securities Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks
Hi, Viraj.
for the opportunity again. I just had one question. You talked about opportunities within agro. So would it be right to think that, at least for the near term, focus will be on, phosphatic and, crop protection, and then probably we may looking to play a much more wider value chain in agri? And just add to that, usually what we have seen in phosphatic players, while they also make a significant investments in backward integration, but a larger focus is on more margin accretive products like NPK and the mixes and all, other than the more commoditized product, which is DAP. So, when we are kind of looking at forward integration, do we have that? Would we be looking at that flexibility in terms of, say, switch from DAP to NPK kind of a product? So yeah, these are two questions. Thank you.
See, our territory is basically, as Gaurav has mentioned, that we are entering into certain newer territories where NPK is an important play. Chambal's bread and butter today is in the northern India territory where NPKs are not so strong. DAP is very strong because potash is in cereals. Potash is not used to that large extent, which in cash crops is used in the southern states. Mm-hmm. Also, southern states, the soil is not so rich in potash as in the northern India. The soil analysis shows that the potash requirement is not of a very large extent. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, North India has been predominantly a DAP country. Southern part of the country and western part, mainly Maharashtra and South, there we have NPK and NPKs. So when we, today globally all products are available. We have imported NPK, we have imported NPKs, we have imported DAP. So to that extent, capacities are available globally for us to import. Before we put in at all, we plan to put up our own capacity. There is no dearth of capacity globally.
Okay, and on the agri question, Claro.
What was that question which you asked on agri?
You said in the earlier part of the question which I asked, you said that focus will be on agri, while we may probably look at any other opportunities outside agri on a selective basis. But when you
Gaurav, would you like to answer that?
Value chain,
yeah, so,
what will be the
so I think we have to sort of reiterate that our primary focus will remain on the agri business, and that's what we are really looking at. Was there anything else, Viraj, that you...
Within agri, what I just wanted to get into, what are segments where we may have a focus in the near immediate term? Would it primarily be non-urea fertilizers and crop protection, and then probably a much more larger play?
Yeah, so we have non-urea fertilizers, we have crop protection, we have micronutrients, right? So these are the various areas in the agri sector which is non-urea really, and we are really going to focus much more significantly on these.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Viraj.
Thank you. We have one last question in queue. We take the last question from the line of Amit Doshi from Care PMS. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, you mentioned that you are in the talks with government for, operating additional capacity in your units for urea production. So at the time when imports are increasing and companies like you coming forward to apply for additional capacity, why would government not allow? I mean, what could be the reason which actually this step is helping them only?
I would not be able to answer that question. It is a government call. I think they need to take that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the last question in queue. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management team for closing comments.
Sorry, I could not understand.
So that was the last question in queue. Would you like to give any closing comments?
No, nothing much except that it's been a good journey, and let me assure the entire investment community that Gaurav is a very competent person. He has had very long experience in chemical industry. He's from IIT Kanpur, and we have full faith in him to take Chambal forward. And I've had a very long innings in Chambal. And I'm sure that Gaurav will take Chambal to greater heights. Thank you all for the journey I've had so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Chambal Fertilisers and Chemicals Limited, that concludes the conference. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You may now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.